Hello, my Convict catch. This is Addict of Convict, bringing you guys and gals just another video. So this is going to be a little tech video for anyone interested to check out their own controllers and see if their controllers are actually any good. Is your controller good? Are you sure, bro? Well, let's go try it out and test it today with this website, and let's see what happens with 3 different controllers I've got here, from a Cherokee, whatever third party, to a Gulikit KK3 Max, and we also have the Nacon Unlimited Pro controller as well. So let's check them out. So all you need to do, go to the description, click on the description link, and you will get this, which is called the input tester, gamepad tester, I should say. Sorry, it's hardwaretester.com/gamepad, but it'll be in the description anyway, so you'll be able to find this pretty easy. And then you'll end up with this website here. If you put gamepad tester in as well, you'll also be able to find this pretty easy also on there. So now we've come in here. What do we do here? So first of all, we can go to gamepad. There is other things you can test as well, such as you can do a MIDI tester. There's a mic tester, so you can see how much latency you get from your mic. Like I'm getting 10 milliseconds, a sample rate of 48,000. GPU tester, which you can do from Google. Swift shader is a software render, which means your browser is not currently using your GPU. I don't know what that means, but there is apparently something here that you can check out. And then we've got gamepad tester, which is what we're looking at today. So we've got the program waiting for us. Again, this will be in the description. And we've got our first controller. So this is the Gulikit KK3 Max. This is what I've been using. Be very careful if you do decide to buy this controller. At the back here, we've got these little metal pieces that connect into these little grooves here. What I've noticed is my jump button, the button that actually is behind this, it's kind of here somewhere. It has like a little weird T-bar. It goes along the T-bar, in which it goes into a little notch that holds your button in place. That seemed to snap. And it snapped to the point that I can't jump with my jump button anymore because it feels like it's sticky, or like there's something sticking to it. Since I took out the small piece that did break off, it has actually been working fine, but just be careful and don't squeeze these too hard because you will break your controller back buttons, and that's not good. And I have to take this apart today to fix that. Anyway, since then it's actually been working, but I'm not here to talk about that anyway. So let's plug this controller in. Once I plug it in and I press the A button, you'll see it starts the cycle. This has got a really cool effect. It glows. There you go. And these have what's called Hall effects. Hall effect basically means that whatever you do with these buttons here, they will snap perfectly back into place and always has a perfect resting value. This one has a perfect resting value because it's actually 0. There is some that do have higher ones, like a standard PlayStation 5 or standard Xbox controller. Have something like a 3 point. It has a something like 0.00342 or something like that, which is absolutely fine. These resting values don't really matter too much. All you need to do is, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll get these 2 circles here. If you see that your controller or these dots in the middle are kind of like this, then you know you've got stick drift. That's all you're checking for. Then you know there's an issue. If obviously it's like this, then it's absolutely fine. There's no issues. And then you just want to test to see if you move this about and let go, does it rest or does it go back in and then start to drift again? And then you know you've got horrible stick drift, or you've got a margin of stick drift, depending how bad it is. Or depend on, obviously, if you've got any problems with your controller. Obviously, you can circumvent that by putting dead zones in, but dead zones then add the less sensitivity when it comes to your first thumbstick movement. So any sort of like slight thumbstick movement won't register. And you want it to register, obviously, as soon as you press on the sticks, unless you like that little margin of delay. But what we're also going to do below is a circularity test. This is a really cool test. It actually tests the average error of your thumbstick by doing a circle. It'll first of all tell you if it's a perfect circle, like it should be for controllers. And it'll also give you an average if there's an error. And this can be quite big. What this basically means that if you do have an average of error, that you're going to have issues. You'll see what I mean. I've got a controller that's pretty bad offender. Now, if you're getting an average error of around about 4, something like that, or just over 4, between 4 and 5 is the average error. That's the bog standard area in which a PlayStation and Xbox controller seem to be. And it seems to be okay. It doesn't seem to be a problem. It is still quite low. Obviously, if you can get it lower, the better, basically. So, yeah, so let's do the test here and do it nice and slow and just do a nice, perfect circle. And as you can see, pretty impressive. This is not a common boy. Having a very super low average error rate is not common in controllers. So when I found out that this controller was absurdly low, I was like, wow, I've got to try this controller out. This controller itself on Amazon is £75, between £65 and £75, and is a pretty decent controller. Let's do the other thumbstick. So obviously if one's going to be good, the other one is obviously going to be good as well. And there you go. Both have perfect average error of 0.1. And that 0.1 could be even negligible. This could actually be 0.0 because it's that good. And you can see the perfect circle. What I mean by the perfect circle. That is what the circle should look like. It shouldn't have any deviations, shouldn't have any other brighter colors, because what you'll see is if there's an average of error, it will go from this beautiful blue color and it'll start going to more like pinks and purples, and you'll see how bad it is. And I'll show you that in just a moment. So we've got a couple of controllers we can test actually today. So we've got that one. Excuse me. We've also got the Nacon Unlimited. Excuse this one. This one's been in my drawer a good while. Unfortunately, the back button on this one, again, broke. Very flimsy plastic buttons. I hate these. And them being semicircle sort of things as well. Very hard to press and actuate. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. But yeah, the small little plastic, a bit like the other controller I've just talked about, the Gulikit, it's got like a little sort of like extension piece that comes off the plastic bit that goes under and clips into something. So when you're pressing the buttons, it kind of vibrates off that plastic little edge, and once that snaps, then it just goes limp, and that's what basically happened to this controller. Also missing a front thumbstick is somewhere in that cupboard somewhere, so I'll have to double check. I've also taken the top off because I was fed up of not being able to plug any wire in Nacon, any wire, and use it, because your Nacon wires seem to break quite easily. And then I've got to buy another Nacon wire, which is kind of stupid. So I took off the bottom and said, screw you. I'm just going to do that. So, number one, does this controller have stick drift? Yes, it does, as you can see. Axis 2 and Axis 3. So Axis 2 and Axis 3 is the right thumbstick. As you can see, let me take that circularity test off for now. You can see there is thumbstick drift. Now, however, would this mean, because it's been in my drawer for quite a long time, I've had it a long time as well as controller. Could it be just wear and tear? Possibly, but it's somewhere you could check out for if you've got an Nacon and you've always wondered. Now you can test it and see for yourself. The other one, however, is on a perfect resting of 002 at the end. Last 3 digits is 002. This one, if I do move it and manipulate it a little bit, it will actually go and rest. So I doubt these are whole like thumbsticks. These are probably just whatever module thumbsticks, I think is what they call them. Modular thumbsticks. They're not very good. They can be keen to stick drift. Yeah, just be aware. If you ever go for a controller, try and go for one that has Hall effect thumbsticks. Read the packaging, read the labels, research the controller, check out what it's got and if it's got Hall effect. If it's got Hall effect, I'm not saying it's not going to have stick drift ever, but it will have a much higher chance of not having stick drift for a very long time, and it might be a bit more manageable when you do get stick drift on those controllers. So yeah. So that's that one. So let's do the other one. Let's do the circularity test. Can this do well as in a circle? Is this a good controller? Did Nacon do a good job when they designed the controller itself? Let's find out, shall we? So let's get this one, put it up there, and then do a circle. And look at that. Look at that. Just look at that. Perfect. Absolute perfect. Zero issues. Even with the little problems I'm having with the controller, where I'm getting that little bit of stick drift, absolutely insanely good. Let's do the left one. I'll try and do this as best as I can. Apologize if it goes wrong, but it will be 0.0. But yeah, there we go. It's just it's not got the thumbstick tip, so it makes it a bit harder to obviously do the circle test. But there you go. Absolutely perfect. No problems or issues at all. Excuse me while I cough. Excuse me there. Got a terrible cough today. I don't know what's going on. I think it's because I'm talking a lot and I haven't drunk enough. Let me have a little drink. But yeah, absolutely perfect. No issues. Perfect error rate of 0.0, which I would even say the KK3 is the same as well. I think that's just negligible error difference. And even with this controller having stick drift, even now, if you look here, the timestamp, because that's supposed to have stopped, there is something still moving in the controller. There is something here still activating within the controller, even though, oh, it could be these actually. Look, these are very, very slightly moving, this one and this one. That's causing the timestamp to go up. Just be aware of that, because also remember of the game to render latency as well. And that's basically game to render latency is when you activate your controller, but going through to the PC to send out your inputs from your controller and whatever stick drift is happening as well. And then that's got to then be brought to your monitor and then obviously rendered from your monitor. Just be aware, because maybe stuff like that where it's got error or it's stick drift or whatever, it could be sending more latency or adding more latency onto games, especially if you're playing them and you want to, the lowest latency possible. So just be aware that could be an issue as well. Well on there. So we're going to try one more controller. Now this is a third-party controller. It comes up as a PlayStation 4 controller. It's called Cherokee something GamePad. I wouldn't recommend it anyway, so I'm not going to really recommend this controller. I might put the Gulikit and the Nacon Unlimited as links, but this one, I might put this one as well, but I'll put exclamation mark and just say not good or bad in brackets. But this is a Cherokee. It costs only 20 odd quid on Amazon. It's very, very cheap. So it's not an expensive controller. It's a good controller. Don't get me wrong. It's a decent controller. I've had a lot of fun playing with it and using it. But when I found out, obviously, how bad the errors were, it kind of makes you think, you know, am I winning or is it because of the errors that's causing me the problem? So first of all, there is no stick drift on here. Let me just untick this circularity test. But you can see this is a perfect resting value for PlayStation 5 and Xbox controllers. So ignore these values of 392 at the end. As long as the controller is rested perfectly on the thing, and these have got Hall effect thumbsticks as well, this controller. As long as it's perfectly resting and it's not got anything where it's moving like that, and you've got the timestamp moving at the top, as long as it's still, nothing's moving at all, then that's the perfect resting place. Some resting places on controllers are a bit different, and especially PS5, the standard PS5 controller and the standard Xbox One controller do have resting values of 392 or around 392. So just be aware that that doesn't really matter, even though obviously the others are lower. It doesn't matter as long as obviously you're not getting no issues and that timestamp at the top isn't moving by itself. Then you know, because obviously the timestamp only moves when you make a move. If it's not moving, that means that everything's good. Your controller's nice and stable. Give it a little wiggle, see if you can make it or break it. Keep letting it go. And if it doesn't and returns perfectly, which Hall effects thumbsticks are supposed to do, then you're onto a winner on the stick drift side of it, or any sort of issues that might be happening while you're playing in the game. So let's go to the circularity test. Again, spin the joystick slowly to test. So again, touch it, go to the top, and then do a nice, perfect circle. And there you go. That's one. And we'll do it with the other one. And there you go. So 7.2 and 7.5. I actually know these are pretty bad, and they're actually a little bit different. Now let me try the test again, because this one was giving me way high value. That one before. I don't know why it's giving me better value this time. But before, it was worse. The values were a lot worse. But apparently, it wants to call me a liar. 6.9. So one time I actually tested, I was getting like 13% between 4 and 6. I wouldn't say it's too bad. It's not like super bad. It's not great, but it's not super bad either. I do believe PlayStations and Xboxes are very similar for the average error rate for around between 4 and 6. So they also have this kind of issue where there's some errors. Now, what is the errors? Why is the errors occurring? So if I show you on the left thumbstick, if you go to the very top, you can see it's perfectly aligned with the circle. If I go here to the right, can you see what's happening now? The outer edge of the dot that should be following the circle line here, as you can see here, is completely missing the circle line and going completely AWOL. And then it joins back on about here, and then it goes AWOL again down here. Goes slightly off, or it starts to jitter a little bit, and then you go around and it does it again. That's why you can see the colors going outside, and then you can see up here as well. Again, it's completely going off its target, and it's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to stay perfectly centered on the blue circle. Again, showing you this one, how bad it is. And you can see where the average errors are, because the brighter the color, the worse the error. You can see that this error here means that any sort of corner direction that you're moving your controller in is going to have a terrible average error rate, and it's going to cause you a lot of issues, a lot of inconsistency when it comes to aiming and moving and stuff. And you may feel like it's not as good, or it might be slightly more delayed, or it might feel more delayed because it's not quite registering the inputs at obviously a very high percentage. It's giving you an issue of an average error, which why some people probably feel like the PlayStation controller feels different to such as the Nacon, because the Nacon doesn't have any errors, so it's going to feel faster and it's going to feel weirder because there's absolutely no errors. So as soon as you're moving your thumbstick, it's reacting to your thumbstick exactly 1-to-1. These are basically registering, but they're on a delay, or it feels like they're going to be on a delay. A bit like when you're doing the latency test of anything. That's kind of what the average error is doing. It's adding like a weird sort of like dead zone or weird latency kind of thing to your thumbsticks, and that's why PlayStation controllers feel a bit odd or a bit different to anything else. Because this is basically like a standard PS5 controller that apparently it does activate as a PS5 and a PS4 controller, this controller. You can actually make it so it runs with PS5 or PS4. So yeah. Anyway, that's the test done. I just thought I'd show you off this little test and show you around. Again, these will be in the description below, so you can go and check it out and have a look for yourself. So there you go. If you want to ever check your controller, and if you ever wondered and think, why am I doing so bad at games, or what's the problem? Why am I having issues here? Do this test and see if your controller is actually up to spec. And yeah, maybe it'll be as good as the Nacon Unlimited. Maybe it'll be as good as the Gulikit KK3 Max, or maybe it won't. Maybe it might more like that third-party Cherokee PlayStation 4 controller that just has horrendous circularity and obviously causes a lot of problems and issues. But yeah, I'll let you decide on that one. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Maybe you even consider joining. Joining our channel is just $1.99, or there is a $4.99 option. For most people, obviously $1.99. If you want to join, gives you access to emotes, badges, giveaways, charity work. But the $4.99 is because my elites, salute to you, which is what you will be when you join here. My elites obviously asked for a extra edition because they wanted to give more. And I was like, no. And it was like, yes. And it's like, fine. There you go. So choose, pick your poison. However you want to help out the channel. But please, if I could ask for just one thing from you, it's just like the video. And that is it. Anyway, it is Convict signing out. As always, I salute you, my convicts, convicts, and I salute to you, my elites. Keep staying beautiful, keep staying elite, keep staying you. Thank you very much for your continued help and support here on the channel to keep doing what we do. You know, bring in new equipment, all that cool stuff. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you. I really, really, really do appreciate it. So thank you very much. And yeah, for now.